to her in the huddle. You look at sports featuring the first thing in sports. Rachel.
All right, welcome to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and we're giving you some of the hottest sports talk by women on the radio. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're about to get into it. So I got a special guest co-host with me today. No Sugar Booger in the building, but guess what? That is okay. I got somebody who is even awesome, and I got Kenneth Moore from the One Key Radio Show, who's going to step in and co-host with me today. And Kenny, man, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good. It's the Any Key Radio Show.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
You said the One Key.
The what?
Good.
I'm sorry. Let me put my glasses on.
Yeah, you gotta be able to play in any key if you're gonna be
the Any Key Radio, and it's saying on your shirt.
Yes, okay.
How messed up am I?
You're all good.
It did say it on your shirt. I was reading it. I'm so sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry about that. And can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, Kenny?
Absolutely. I'm a high school basketball coach. Shout out to St. Joe Academy. Host a podcast for independent creatives called Any Key Radio Show. And we talk everything and anything creative, whether it's, music, sports, and entertainment. So, in a nutshell, that's me.
How'd you get into broadcasting?
Just something I always wanted to do. I write and compose music, and so I know how hard it is for creative people to get their works heard. So I created a podcast as a platform for people that you may not know, to give them a chance to kind of talk about what they're doing and highlight it and spotlight it. So I've been doing it for 4 years now, and I love it.
So you said you write music?
I do.
Okay, so how hard is that to do it, to write out music so people can understand it and it actually sounds good? Because if I take it, you're taking a little bar, do re mi, what is that? Trash can, whatever that is,
yeah.
And then you're putting, quarter, halves. So I used to play the violin.
Okay.
But I was like 5th grade through 7th grade, but I completely forgot how to read music. So that's why I'm sounding real ignorant right now.
Oh, it's all good.
Like those aspects. So you're putting those together so it comes out to be a song.
Kind of, sort of, with technology now. Because like yourself, I haven't read music since high school. And so you have, with technology now, they actually will create the charts for you. So I can play, because I play a couple of instruments. I play keys and drums. So I could play something and record it in Logic, and then it'll create the charts for me.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Well, how about that?
Yeah, technology is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, because it's funny because I thought about, getting back into playing the violin, maybe playing, learning how to do it again. And the pandemic would have been a good time. And
True.
They said he know how to play. You say the clarinet and the piano, Nate? I thought I just saw that appear.
Yes. Oh. I play clarinet and piano.
Okay, that's good.
For fun, nothing for. It's just something I do for during my free time.
Yeah. So the ability to read music is a useful skill, and it's never left you.
Yeah. I've been doing it since clarinet. I've been doing it since middle school, and then piano for a couple years now.
And then it got so bad with the violin, I was faking playing during concert because I hated it, and I was always jealous because I was like, I should have wore the one, got in the band. I was so bored, so I just been doing like this during concerts. And then one time, my teacher ratted me out. She called my parents saying I wasn't practicing enough, Miss Heist. Yeah, man. So I didn't really like her, and I didn't really like playing, a string instrument. I wanted to be in a band because it just seemed like 10 times cooler. And I didn't. So I just, my attention span, went. And once that went, I started faking it.
You got to be dedicated because it's, it's a craft. So you got to really put time into it. So,
yeah. Maybe I just wasn't sophisticated enough for the violin either. I wanted to play something. I was like, I probably should have played the drums, but I have no rhythm. So I'm like,
that would be a problem. Yeah,
You gotta
you
have
have
rhythm
to
for your
have
drum.
rhythm, because you're keeping the beat. Like if you can't keep the beat, drums is not for you. Oh yeah, it's not for you.
I'm like
It's not
that
for you.
about black people being able to dance is 100% not true.
Really?
Not all of us can dance. Yeah,
You can't even do a side to side?
What kind of side to side?
Side to side, with the music. 1, 2. Like Will Smith and Hitch, you can't do that?
I think I can execute that. I think I can
Yeah.
execute that.
And shoot.
But
You're
yeah,
not that bad.
it's a little tragic. It's a little tragic. Then my friends be trying to hype me up and they know I can't dance.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
I be trying. So yeah, that ain't no good.
no
But
good.
Kenny, man, let's go ahead and get into it. So one of the
Let's go.
biggest trials of, I wouldn't say trials of the century. I think that was probably reserved for the OJ trial. But yesterday was a pretty big day in America. It was a pretty big day in the intersection of sports. I don't believe in, human lives being political in any aspect, but, typically the people who don't like black people say it's political, and, pleading my humanity to others is not a political thing. It's a thing between, right and good. But after that verdict came, there was a shooting that happened in Columbus, and then there was a shooting that happened, a police officer shooting that happened in New York today. So it appears that, new hashtags are popping up. There's nothing that is going to change. There's a policy of shoot first, ask questions later. But, obviously the city of Minnesota has kind of rallied around the family of George Floyd. And one of the things last night was the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I believe that the games were going to be canceled once the verdict came off. There was no games in Minnesota yesterday in the anticipation of a possible not guilty verdict. So the Minnesota Timberwolves pretty much have been very vocal. The basketball players have been very vocal about their support of George Floyd and their family, also dedicating the game ball to him. What are your thoughts about that basketball association? You know that, George Floyd was a basketball player. Basketball was near and dear to him. And, basketball is primarily played by Black people. But what do you think about, the Minnesota Timberwolves and their thoughts and expression towards the Floyd family?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. And real quick, I want to shout out Steven Jackson because he was really instrumental, and he called George Floyd his twin. So because they kind of favor each other. So just shout out to him for all the work that he did. But in terms of the Timberwolves, I think it's a great thing, and I think especially being in that area and being connected to the community. The fact that they were, use their platform and use their voices to, for that, I think it was important. And I think it's actually had an effect, not just in Minnesota, but across the country. And, all the NBA players, even back in the bubble, when they protested and they set out the game, like, I think that really got people's attention. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, salute to those guys for sure. Keep using your platform and keep using your voice, because it's making change.
Yeah, I mean, the whole league was ready to shut down, over social justice things.
Absolutely.
So, that is something that just goes without saying. And, it's when you're in a position that these athletes are in, you use your power, and this is what you're supposed to do to bring change. I always will respect, Muhammad Ali for the person he was. And, there's people still mad that he didn't go to Vietnam, but nobody has to fight a war, because we know that when soldiers came back, especially in the South, they were murdered for wearing their uniform. Simply for wearing their uniform. Now, they don't went across the, overseas to fight for their country, and then they come back, and just for wearing their uniform, they could be murdered on site.
Yeah.
There was a guy, I forgot his name, but he literally was blinded by a police officer for wearing his uniform. I can't remember his name, but, people look that up. But, just instances of that. So they fight for this country who treats them as if they're the scum of the earth. So I'm like, I don't know if there'll ever be a Muhammad Ali, but you can kind of equate LeBron James, to that. Obviously, he's
For
not
sure.
being drafted to go to war, but, a lot of people follow his lead. And he's one of the social justice icons, that we have of our generation. And no, he's untouchable. You know what I'm saying? They can't take his money from him. They can't take his power away.
Right.
So he can say whatever he wants to, and
right.
he's untouchable. But, there's a lot of people, when you speak out for social justice, there's a lot you lose. You think about Jamil Hill when she called 45 a white supremacist, where we all knew it was true. And there was no doubt about it. He tweeted he retweeted white power. I thought that would be it, but no, and he tweeted that. So pretty much giving credence to what she said, and she loses her job for that, even though it's true.
What happens is, and like you said, you got to be willing to pay the cost. You got to really be willing to pay the price, because, like you said, everybody is not LeBron James. They don't have the leverage. They don't have the power. They don't have the the wherewithal financially to be able to take that hit, or the potential, backlash. So you got to really, count the cost and really be committed, and you can't be halfway with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's doing great now, So it didn't really, even though she was pulling in almost $2 million a year, she's doing her own thing. She's with Spotify, she's with, I think Vice, with her own TV show. I see her on, CNN almost every other night. So, she's one of the go-to, social justice people. So, for her, I'm sure I'm sure it was absolutely worth it, not to compromise, yourself and your values. And, as we know, Colin Kaepernick, nobody wanted to listen to him. And now we're seeing it, every day, there's pretty much on repeat. There's a police shooting, of a Black person. There's, death and destruction from the pandemic. And what was the other one I was going to list? A mass shooting.
Yeah.
On repeat. That's pretty much the news.
It really is.
All these mass shootings, they blend together. The perpetrator is usually a young white man who comes out alive unless they kill themselves. The trauma, the Black trauma that we have of, police officer shootings. There was just another, one right after the verdict was read, one that took place in Columbus, Ohio.
And during the trial, there was an issue right in Minnesota. It's like, you can't make it up.
And they say it's definitely dangerous to be a Black male in Minnesota, because you look at what happened with Philando Castillo. He did everything right. He was supposed to do that. Officer wasn't convicted. Dante Wright. Is going to be very interesting to see what happens with that case, because she might get off. Now, Muhammad, Noor, the Somalian police officer who shot Justine Diamond, received 12 years in jail, even though that was an accidental shooting as well. But he wasn't granted the courtesy and privileges that other officers have been granted, because he killed, a blonde white woman. And, we just have to be real, raw, and uncut about some of these things sometimes. So the city of Minnesota, has, embraced the family of George Floyd, and, essentially in some way they can kind of move on from that loss. They'll never move on. But, I also like the fact that, one of the whitest sports in America, Minnesota Twins, they actually have, a George Floyd, Justice for George Floyd banner around the outfield, which I never really thought I'd ever see something like that. But even Major League Baseball has stepped up a little bit as far as the Black Lives Matter movement, but also you need to integrate your sports symbol.
Oh yeah. We need to see some more. We need to see some more people of minorities in the front office. We need to see some more minority managers. You know what I mean? People that are decision makers. We need more minority representation, because it's the players are there. So, but that's in all sports. It's not just baseball. That's in all sports.
Yeah, I mean, but baseball is white.
Oh yeah.
As far as the players,
that's a fact.
And I try to tell people there's a difference to me between, the dark-skinned people who speak Spanish as their primary language and a true Black person. because there's
Absolutely.
somebody my color, but they speak Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
They're from a Spanish country. But
Yes,
when we
indeed.
talk about you have a sport that has less than 10% of Black players of African, I don't believe in African American, Black descent, you also have an issue as well. And what happened with Bruce Maxwell when he took a knee that played for the Oakland A's and how he was pretty much vanished. So we're going to have to take a really quick break, right quick, Penny. So thank you for being here around and you listening. You heard in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Alcohol and Drug Addiction and Mental Health Services Board, also known as the Adams Board of Cuyahoga County, wants everyone to stay safe. If the stress of the pandemic is overwhelming, help is available. Call the 24-hour crisis hotline at 216-623-6888. That's 216-623-6888. If you are using drugs, remember all drugs may contain the highly addictive substance fentanyl. Please test your drugs and never use drugs alone. Carry Narcan in case you are witness to an overdose. And call the 24-hour crisis and referral hotline when you are ready for help. It's 216-623-6888. Again, it's 216-623-6888. This message is brought to you by the Adams Board of Cuyahoga County and WOVU 95.9 FM, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
This is Delvis Valentine.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Moore.
Greetings, this is Eleni Barclay Jones, and you are listening to WOVU 95.9 FM.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sport. And remember, you can always give us a call at 216-271-0959. You can listen to us at WOVU.org. And you can also make sure you download that WOVU app so you can take us with you on the go. And I'm here with Kenny Moore today. He is co-hosting with me. Thank him so much for being here. And he's from the Any Key Radio Show. I got that right?
You got it right.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I forgot what I was talking about when I left off.
Oh, MLB. Justice.
And because I'll be doing my thing on the production side. I'm like, man, we laugh. But one of the things I also wanted to address and ask you is how important do you think it is that sports, continues to, support human rights issues, no matter how much backlash they get from fans or a certain demographic of fans?
I think it's vital, especially in today's climate. The shut up and dribble, like that can't be. We cannot allow that narrative to continue. Like, there's no way that, with the power that we have between social media, between the, just the light or the eyes that are on sports in general. These guys like the Jaylen Browns, I saw him a couple of weeks ago, just took his press conference time and just was talking about, social justice. So I think it's important, man. These guys have to keep shining their light. They have to keep speaking their truth, and they just have to, because that's the only way. Well, that's one of the ways I should say that things are going to change. Is that the Muhammad Ali, his time, he did his time. The Jim Browns, they did their time, and it's now for this generation's chance and their opportunity to make a mark and to be part of the change.
Yeah, so I'm hoping with this shooting, there's a lot of things going on with the recent shooting that happened with Ma'Khia Bryant. That athletes can call some attention to that as well. I know there's a lot of, I've not seen the video yet, but there's a lot out on social media of people debating is it wrong or right. And, we know that Ohio BCI will make the ultimate decision, but, calling attention to these issues to stay on top because, like Will Smith said, this racism with the police has always been going on. It's just being filmed now. So
That's
imagine if that young lady was not filming the murder of George Floyd. Think about how many people have been murdered by the police. But there's been no, videotape, no documentation for real. And they just get away with it because they can. they write it up in the report, and everybody believes the police. For some reason, they think that the police are, the end all be all and the ultimate truth tellers. They have internal affairs for a reason.
That's right.
So
right.
if cops were so just and so, just good and perfect, why do they have internal affairs?
There you go. That's all that needs to be said, because again, there has to be checks and balances. There has to be some level of accountability. The cops are not above the law.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
It only seems that these are, these shootings happen when they come to Black people too. At this point in my life, I'm scared to even smile at a police officer, and you just never think it would get to that point, but you just don't know what mood somebody is going to be in. So I just think that, minimizing my interaction, not even getting a speeding ticket. I mean, obviously nobody wants to deal with the police, but, minimizing the interaction is the best thing to do to keep myself safe. So I think that's for the best. Now, I wanted to ask you about your thoughts about Mark Davis. Raiders owner Mark Davis sent out a tweet that said, "I can breathe," and it set off a media firestorm. Some people looked at it as mocking, and then other people, well, for the most part, people looked at it something that was mocking. And Mark said that I wanted to do it in solidarity with the Floyd family and show that I care. And his family said, "I can breathe." He was like, "I just want to do the same thing." So what are your thoughts about that?
I think he had good intentions. It just was the wrong person sending the message. Like if that would have came from one of the African American Raider players, if that came from Darren Waller, the tight end, I think it would have been better received. I just think coming from him, and I think about also Nancy Pelosi, like she made a statement.
What did she say? I wasn't aware of her statement.
Oh man, I'm gonna paraphrase, but basically she said that George Floyd's life was he gave his life for this cause. Like no, his life was taken. He didn't give his life for this cause. His life was taken. So I just think it's just another example of the right intentions, just the wrong person. Delivering the message. It should have been somebody, like I said, Darren Waller or some leading African American, Josh Jacobs. So maybe it would have came off better if they would have said, "Now I can breathe." Like you don't have no problem breathing. You don't have that issue. You're not going to face that issue or that challenge.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just looking at it now, sacrificing your life for justice. And he didn't do that. He was murdered and there wasn't any, sacrifice, any attempt to sacrifice. Right. That was the last thing that
he did not want to die. He was begging for his life. Man,
pretty much he's saying he's a martyr.
Yeah, no, not at all.
We just got to start pulling certain people aside, Kenny.
Yeah, like you got to listen, man. Listen, you can't. Just let the people that are supposed to say the things. Like you don't have to make a statement every single time. And then sometimes just step to the side and let our people be the ones that have the voice. And y'all just sit back and let us handle it. Y'all don't have to always have something to say.
Well, when you're so privileged, you're so, lost, you're so disconnected, and that's some of the issues that I have with these politicians. They're so old. They're so old, they're so out of touch, they can barely send a text message and they're running the country, and it's to our detriment, the baby boomers. It's a great article by The Atlantic about how the baby boomers have ruined, things for the next generations. And our generation is going to be the generation that's the first time they're not as successful as their parents. You know what I'm saying? But how they're talking about now, there's so many jobs, open up, but they don't have enough, people to apply for them. You don't have a job issue. You have a wage issue.
Thank you.
You want to pay somebody, $10 an hour to do something, I can't blame people for, not holding out. You don't have no benefits for people. You treat people like crap. Amazon, they voted down the union, which I'm just in disbelief that actually happened. But you don't have a hiring problem. You have a wage issue, which is set by Congress. You don't want to raise the minimum wage, but you make almost $200,000 a year,
Right.
but you don't want somebody to make $15 an hour to feed their family.
Right, and you want to keep down the corporate taxes.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're clearly showing your hand. Like you just want to keep the status quo as the status quo, and you don't want to see lower and middle class people advance and better themselves.
Yeah, I think the government is designed to, hold down women, the poor, and minorities.
That's a fact.
And I'm just like, what are we doing about these things? It really doesn't seem like, anything. I promise we're going to get to sports. We're going to get to sports in the next break. But, talk about some issues that are, a big deal in this country right now. And, it's just incredibly sad, the direction that we're going in. And, I have a feeling that, athletes are going to play even more of a pivotal role in this social justice aspect because, they are preaching about, systemic inequalities. A lot of people say, well, these athletes don't do anything. You don't know. And it's mainly a certain demographic talking about they don't give back to their communities. First of all, you don't know what they do. A lot of people do things that are not advertised.
That is correct.
And, what people don't realize is that crime is a symptom of a problem. Nobody wants to be a criminal. It's a symptom of a problem. Like I said, we don't have a hiring issue. We have a wage issue. Yes. And everything is going up, inflation, and wages are stagnant. If wages were where they were supposed to be at right now, people would be making $26 an hour.
That's right.
That's where wages are supposed to be at.
And unfortunately, most of our people turn to sports because of that actual rate inequality or that salary inequality. They think the only way to make it out is, to have the jump shot or to be the football player. You know what I'm saying? Or be the boxer. They think that sports is their only avenue to be able to make a better life for themselves and for their families.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And it's funny how everybody talks about how much athletes make, but they never talk about the billionaires who own these teams. They never talk about how much they make and how much, they have in order to be able to buy these teams. But you talk about the salaries of the millionaires or the thousandaires, but you never talk about the billionaires. So it's amazing how this country continues to simp for rich people.
Oh yeah. Again, they just want to keep the status quo the status quo.
Yeah. I hate it. I'm like, I hate it here. And, there are just so many problems that, need to be solved, and they easily be solved if people, had morals, they were just, they were kind. It takes nothing to be that way. But, other people, they want to continue to, make sure other people don't have it. And I'm like, there's so much money out here, everybody can get it. But for some reason, people are not, there's a lot of money in conflict. Divide and conquer has chosen to be the goal. And I'm like, I have a lot more in common with a poor white person than I do with a rich person.
That's just reality.
Yeah, we have more in common, as poor people than we do with billionaires, so it's just sad, but we're going to take another break right quick. We're going to get into sports now. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Indians, whose game got postponed. So they're going to be playing a doubleheader, talk a little bit about last night's game before we move on. So Kenny will be right back. We got to take a quick break. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Hey, I am Talitha Kube from Let's Talk About It.
This is TC Lewis, and you are listening to WOVU 95.9 FM.
Sam Silk presents a Mother's Day reunion brunch and dinner concert featuring Jay the Gospel Kids, Day May 9th, Mother's Day. Make your reservations now for the 11 a.m. brunch, the 2 p.m. brunch, and the 5 p.m. dinner at Sam Silk's dining facility at 21300 Libby Road in Maple Heights. For reservations, visit eventbritesamsilk.com. That's eventbritesamsilk.com. Don't miss this amazing collaboration as Sam Silk serves some of the best food on this side of the Mississippi River, and Jay the Gospel Kid sings the roof off. That's right, Jay's gonna be singing.
It's so nice to see.
That's Mother's Day, May 9th, 11 a.m., 2 p.m., 5 p.m. Visit Eventbrite Sam Silk, EventbriteSam.com. Mask and social distancing are required. Sam Silk presents a Mother's Day reunion brunch and dinner concert featuring Jay the Gospel Kid, Mother's Day, May 9th. This message is brought to you by Sam Silk, Jay the Gospel Kid, and WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
I think that might have been Jay playing. I didn't know Jay could sing, so that's gonna be kind of great. So this is her and Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. It's your girl Rachel, the First Lady Sports. I am here with Kenny Moore of the Any Key Radio Show. Did I get that?
I'm here, baby.
You know, because I worked hard on that. You know to make
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Two in a row.
Now, Kenny, tell everybody where you at. You ain't in Florida. Where you at?
Yes, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. Native
Oh,
of the Bronx, New York.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Boogie Down Bronx.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jacksonville. We might touch on them a little bit, you know, because y'all got my coach. So
okay. You want to? This the comedy section of the show?
No, I went to Ohio State.
No. I mean talking about Jacksonville teams.
Oh, well, we were talking a little bit, draft, because, that's coming up next week.
Yes.
Here,
No
so
doubt.
we're super excited. And, WOVU sports staff is actually going to be covering the draft.
Nice.
So very excited to be in the house and stuff like that. So a lot of interviews will be, via Zoom. But, we are excited for the activities that'll be taking place. More things just than the draft. There'll be like a Power Sports Summit, which is supposed to be, really great. My friend Shar Graham is one of the people, the NFL, they're going to be laying down another field here in the city of Cleveland.
Okay.
So the Browns have put in 10 football fields and schools around the city. So that's awesome,
Absolutely.
And, they're doing things to make sure. They said that we're the least connected city in the United States. So they're working on helping institute, a broad width plan, or to help people who don't have access to internet like that.
Oh, okay. That's
so
great.
there's a lot of social justice initiatives that the NFL plans on doing. Like I was there on the conference call today. That's why I know some of these things. So it's just amazing how this team, how the city is going to be put on a spotlight. And I'm like, it's kind of crazy. I was thinking about this on the conference call. We finally have a winning season, and all of a sudden we get the NFL draft. Like, I knew this was in the works, for a long time. So it wasn't just,
Yeah. Get your, Cleveland is on the come up in terms of the Browns.
Yeah, but it's a lot better, when your team is better to host something like this as opposed to, how it's been in the past. So, the NFL is, very excited to be here, and they said that one of the reasons why they chose us was that, every time there's something that takes place here, we put on for our city, that we had the RNC here, which was a really big deal. And, so many people had such a good time. And then, they had a presidential debate. They had a presidential debate, here after that. So,
yes.
We do a job, and, I hope that maybe one day we can get tossed back in to host it within the next few years, possibly because of COVID, and is really taken away from what we really can do because of limited participation and all that other stuff. So, I'm hoping that maybe we can get back in a couple years and show what we can really do as a city. So I'm super excited about that. But I want to touch a little bit about the Cleveland Indians. You like our team at all?
No, I'm a Yankees fan. Well, no, I take that back. I like your team because we always beat you in the playoffs. So I like your team. Too soon? What I say?
Yeah, that's real messed up.
Oh, my bad.
How do I end this show? Yeah, so last night the Cleveland Indians, they lost 8-5. So that's nothing new there. Carlos Rendon. So remember, last week he got a no-hitter, pretty much the exact day he got a no-hitter on us, and almost had a perfect game except for he hit a batter.
Yeah.
So Zach Plesac lost last night, and he's 1-3 and has a 6.75 ERA. So astronomically high for the beginning of the season. Aaron Savali was supposed to pitch tonight. Now, we don't get a chance to really play you guys that much, maybe like once a year, which I think sucks. And I think, it should be a little bit more of a rotation. Like, we don't need to play the White Sox. We don't need to play the White Sox 19 times a year. Start throwing, it needs to be a little bit more rotational. What are your thoughts about the Cleveland Indians? Pretty much it had some good runs, made the playoffs last year. But from an outside perspective of another, American League team, what do you think about them?
I think they're kind of in the same boat as my Yankees right now. They're struggling to hit.
Your Yankees trash, man.
Yeah, we're in the same boat.
Y'all got. We don't got no payroll. We got the lowest payroll in baseball.
That makes you. If that's your consolation, then go with it. But
that's my Ryan, yes, sir.
But yeah, it's just struggling to hit, and with baseball, it's a simple game. It's about pitching and hitting, and if you can't get timely hits, if you can't move runners, along, if you can't hit, with runners in scoring position, you're going to struggle to score. And I was just looking at the stats, like we're last, and you guys are second to last right now in hitting. Mm-hmm. So that tells you the whole story, and I just think you guys are going to pretty much. I think that the Yankees are going to hit their stride at some point. It's too much talent. But I think the Indians right now, especially in that division is kind of like one of those, mediocre divisions. So they may be able to compete for the division, but I think they're going to be battling for the wild card, if anything. So I think the best case scenario is you guys are battling. Yeah, I think that's the best case scenario is that you're battling for a wild card spot.
Well, thank you.
It breaks right, but I don't say that with any conviction.
So why you gonna set me up and give me hope that this is what you think and then take it away?
I want you to have me back on your show.
I mean, you got an open invitation anytime, but don't be saying stuff like that because you got to be hyped.
All right, I don't want to play with your emotions. I'll stop.
Yeah, you just like a man. Ugh, I can't stand it. So what are my sponsors? Jordan Blow. He's hunting one in the last, 9 games. He's batting 318. So that's a good thing. Pretty much our offense is going through, Jose Ramirez or J-Ram as they like to call him, but we need other people to step up. And, no matter how great our pitching is, because we have some of the best in the Major League Baseball. But right now it's kind of not looking like that because, Zach Plesac was supposed to be that strong second, spot in the rotation. But right now, he's just getting his butt kicked almost every outing. And I'm just kind of wondering what is going on with him because I was so excited and he showed so much promise, last year, not as far as mental toughness, what him and Mike Clevenger did, when they went out in Chicago and that dust up. But, I was really excited about, his pitching abilities. But right now he's just getting his butt handed to him every outing. So, that puts a question mark in there. Or is it too soon? I mean, everybody's telling me it's too soon, but, I'm not liking what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, you might be hitting the panic button a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm emotional. We're only a couple.
We 16 games in.
Yeah. We haven't hit there. What is it, 162 games? It's not even 10%. Yeah, you gotta relax.
It gives me anxiety though. I'm like, I need more here. I need some substance. I need the ability to feel grounded. And 16 games in and we 8-8. I'm just not liking that. My anxiety, doesn't work like that for me. So what's the issue with your Yankees, man? Besides y'all not hitting, how's y'all pitching going?
I think the pitching is not the problem right now. It's just I think we're a one-trick pony right now. It's just all or nothing in terms of power. It's either home run or a strikeout. And like I said, we're last in in batting average and batting in terms of the American League. And it's hard to win that way. You can't. Again, it's the timely hitting. It's hitting, bringing guys, and running in the scoring position. You're hitting that hit or those 2-out hits that keep rallies going. And it's just like right now we're just not hitting. And of course, the Aaron Judge can't. I'm start calling him can't get right because between him and Stanton, those guys seem like they take turns getting hurt. So. And then Sanchez, he's streaky. So I thought he was going to have a bounce back year, but he's a little slow out the gate. So, but again, I still think our guys are going to, we're going to pick it up. Once the weather warms up, we'll start heating up. And, as the fans start to be able to get into the games more, they start to increase the attendance. They'll bring that energy that we need and we'll be where we need to be. I'm not concerned just yet. I'm not pushing the panic button unlike yourself.
Yeah, 16 games in, I'm about to jump off the bridge. Nate just said that the Rockies swept the Astros. So who is hitting for the Yankees right now?
That's a good question. Really, I think DJ LeMahieu is really the only consistent guy that you can look at every night that's going to hit. But to be honest, I haven't really locked in on the Yankees just yet because I'm all in on the NBA right now.
Yeah.
So
you are
all in. I'm a Knicks fan, so I'm in heaven right now.
It's just kind of hard when your team is trash like ours is, So it's a struggle. So what's going on with your Knicks right now?
Listen, we rolling 7 straight. Tibbs is making the case to be the coach of the year. The team is playing above their heads. Julius Randle has got to be an MVP candidate.
Ooh.
So, I was joking with some friends on Facebook that we could actually take the paper bag off our heads as fans now.
Yeah. How's Obi Toppin doing?
Struggling.
Oh, really?
Struggling. Yeah, he's struggling. Because, Tibbs, he don't have a lot of patience for young guys. So he's not really getting a whole lot of minutes. But the kid quickly from Kentucky, he's getting a lot of minutes and he's really good. D Rose is coming on. So I'm really
Rose
excited.
still in the league?
Derrick Rose doing work. Derrick Rose still can get to the rack. Still, got that quickness. Still got the, that athletic. He's not putting his head on the rim like he was, back in the MVP days, but he still can get there. So
God, how old is Derrick Rose now?
Shoot, in his early 30s, I want to say. Maybe 31, 32.
Yeah, 32. Why does it seem like he's older than that, though?
Because he came in the league, he was a one and done. That's why.
My God.
Yeah, one and done.
It seemed like he's much older than that. Yeah, his stint with the Cavaliers wasn't, too hot. So, I'm like, hey, I just wish him the best. But yeah, the new Knicks, like what's going on in basketball right now. Do you actually see them, being able to advance and have significant advancement in the playoffs this year?
I think it's gravy. Whatever, if anything from this point, making the playoffs is because to me this year was just laying the foundation and just creating changing the culture. So the fact that we're going to be in the playoffs, I'm good. So as long as we are competitive, as long as we competitive, I think we probably lose in the first round. But yeah, I think so because the reason why is because Tibbs drives his team so hard. Julius Randle's leading the league in minutes played, minutes per game. And I think he's probably going to wear down, especially when the playoffs come around. So I'm a little concerned about that. And the fact that the Knicks don't have a whole lot of talent, they're just really playing above their heads. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's about, these types of things are about, teams getting hot at the right time.
That is true.
So, I mean, there you have it.
Hey, listen, like I said, we making the playoffs is a victory in itself. And don't let the Mavericks not make the playoffs and we get that pick and it's a lottery pick. Oh, look out.
Yeah, somebody said D-Wade's stint with the Cavs wasn't good either. He joked that he hopes Dean Wade has a better stint with the Cavs.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, what baseball team are you following down in Florida? Because y'all got a few of them. I
follow the Braves more so because they're in the same division as the Yankees. Those are the games that I get. I don't really get the Marlins, and they're so bad that Although my guy Derek Jeter is part of the ownership group, so I'll root for them to do well.
You know, I got a chance to meet him. I went down to
Really?
a convention for NABJ, and they gave us tickets to a Marlins game, so we was in a suite and stuff. And you know, I'm sitting around eating. Next thing I know, Derek Jeter walks in there. Did you ever see the other guys with Marky Mark and?
Oh yeah. When they were,
I was like, it's the biracial angel.
That's funny.
And
now, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you know Gary Howard?
Gary Howard? No.
Yeah, NABJ.
What does he cover?
Well, he was with the editor for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel.
Okay.
And the Sport News.
Okay.
And he was like the president of NABJ, I think, at some point.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and I think he just got like inducted to the Hall of Fame or something like that. But he's a family friend, so that's why I asked.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know, but it sounds like I need to know him so he can help me advance my career.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. Sounds like somebody I need to know.
No doubt. That's the guy. He mentioned Stephen A. Smith. That's all you need to know.
Huh?
He mentioned Stephen A. Smith and Jamel Hill. That's all you need to know.
Oh, he did? Well, I know both. We had Stephen A. on the show about 2 years ago. I haven't been able to get Jamil Hill on just yet. I need to, holler at her and ask her.
You gotta say cousin.
I told her, I'm like, I think we cousins, because this is a funny part. People don't know my family is from Michigan. So my dad's side of the family is actually from Michigan. So I'm like, I told her, I'm like, I think we might be cousins. We just, don't know. So we might have to take a DNA test. But she's good people as well, and hopefully we can get her on the show one day. I'm wondering now if I remember them, because usually they always have people come back and speak, and they have a sports task force for the journalists and stuff like that.
I want to say that he was on that. I think that's what he was over, that sports task force.
Okay.
But I'll double check. But anyway, we'll talk about it, and I'll definitely pass along his information for sure.
Okay, I appreciate that. Well, on that note, we got to take a break really quickly, and you're listening to WOVU 95.9, Her and the Huddle. We'll be right back.
WOVU and the Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board want
.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel, the First Lady of Sports, and my guest co-host today is Kenneth Moore from Any Key Radio Show. I got it now. Last segment, 10 minutes left of the show. One of the things I want to, I thought it was an interesting news story that came out was one about Jordan Reed, who's retiring from the NFL because of concussion issues. So after 8 years in the league, and a brain scan he had done recently. He's only 30 years old, and the doctor recommended that he retire because of all the damage that's done to his brain. And we just talk about concussions and all that other stuff, and he's had so many of them. Is football as safe as we think it is when you see stories like this? And then also, Philip Adams, the murder of 5 people, what could have caused that? But Jordan, what are your thoughts about Jordan Reed?
It's par for the course. You're seeing guys retire younger and younger. Even guys that are semi-healthy are retiring early. And
Megatron.
Yeah. What's I'm a Cowboys fan, so Travis Frederick, he had to.
Cowboys, they trash, man. Come on, Kenny.
See, you know what I'm saying? We was doing good.
Still give me the number, though. Give me that number still.
See, you might have messed that up.
Man, come on.
No,
man, the Browns beat them, man.
I got you. But yeah, no, I think it's just there's a risk. There's a clear risk that that can't be denied in playing football. You're sacrificing your body. Like you're literally having a collision every time in every play.
A crash.
Yeah, it's just a crash, and similar to boxing, it's the same thing. Like your head is going to have to deal with some level of trauma, and it's and the sad thing is like they don't even have guaranteed deals. Putting their bodies through all of that, and they can't get into the CBA guaranteed money. That baffles me.
And then the thing is, they signed it so quick and didn't hold out. I'm like, the players have the power. Without the players, there's no league. And there's solidarity. And y'all, I still can't believe they signed it and how quickly they signed it. Because I'm like, they had all the leverage. They had all their leverage room.
The guys don't take care of their money.
Yeah, so they signed it to not.
Yeah.
I'm just dumbfounded, though.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They signed it like within a day.
They had the leverage. If any time they was going to do it, they had the leverage to be able to make this happen, and it was really close. Like the vote was really close. So it was really, this was their chance, and they let it slip away. And that was 6 or 7 years in that CBA or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they play the rough sport with the potential for long-lasting, lifetime injuries and not guaranteed contracts. The tightest cap. And they just signed away on it. So I can't believe it. And, I think we'll probably see more of this, younger players having to walk away. I honestly think football players are the toughest athletes. You brought up a good point with boxers, because pretty much the goal is to be hit in the head. And I don't understand how anybody can do that. UFC people too.
Yeah.
But, football players are having a car crash every play. And the toughness you have to display. And, Jordan even admitted, I got my bell rung, but went back out there and played, because like these guys have a warrior mentality, but, at 30, you having to step away from the game. And I hope that, he was smart with his money, because we all, majority of us have watched Broke probably on ESPN and saw what happens, how quick when they get out the league, how quick they go broke, how quick, their friends, leave them and all types of things.
Absolutely.
So, I'm just hoping that, he did something with money. And then with Philip Adams, we don't know what his brain scan says just yet, but I guarantee you that, there's going to be some CTE issues present. And, the NFL needs to do more to protect their players and be more upfront, about what's going on in their health and safety. I would love to retire at 30, but, he might have some lasting, brain damage. So, well wishes to him. So I got about 5 minutes left. College football Super League. Did you get a chance to look at that?
I did.
All right. So one of the things that is, being talked about, which I highly doubt will happen, is how soccer over there in Europe was going to do this Super League where just the best of the best teams play each other. And people was talking about, what if that possibly happened with college sports? And I'm like, well, the best of the best do play each other. It's called playoffs.
Right.
Can you imagine, Ohio State and Allen, whoever, top of the Pac-12, I think sucks. Big 12, whatever. ACC, if they were just the league, I think that would be too much. And I think, how things are kind of how they need to be. I don't think that should be happening. That's just kind of weird to me, that just the best teams play each other. That doesn't make any sense, because at the end of that's what you play for a playoff for, or a championship for. The best teams will play themselves at later down the season, not beat each other up all season long. What do you think about that? Yeah, I just don't like that concept.
Yeah, no, me either. That takes the whole upset element out of college football if you do that.
Yeah.
That's really what makes it fun, is seeing, the Appalachian States over the Michigans and, those type of games where you see these, 1AAs, or you see these low D1s or mid majors come, there's supposed to be a bye game. They were just supposed to be coming to get the money and get their butts kicked. And then they come in there and, pull off the upset. You take that element totally out of it. And then what happens to, the coverage? Like all of the media coverage is going to just cover these 15 teams, and all these other guys are not going to be, get a chance to be seen on Saturdays. That's one of those elitist type things, or the 1% type thing. That's what that sounds like to me.
Yeah, and then think about some of these smaller schools in which, they play their first 4 games against these bigger universities because, teams will take a little bit over $1 million check from Ohio State to come play them, and that might fund their athletic program for a few years to come.
That's right.
So taking away that opportunity for them, for that windfall, we're gladly come and lose 71-0. That did happen before. But you take away that opportunity for them as well to make money and fund their athletic program. So I just think it's a bad idea. Look at March Madness. So what are you only going to have, the top 10 teams play each other for a title? I don't like that at all. That just sucks. And then, that's just a bad idea. That takes away from competition. And like you said, the TV revenue as well, who's going to want to watch that? So teams are losing out on money that way. And we know that these football programs, they fund the other sports.
That's right.
Ohio State football funds, I think Ohio State might have like 38 teams now probably, but the football team funds the other sports and pays for those other athletes to have the opportunities that they do. So that's taken away from a lot of universities, and that's going to make a lot of teams suffer, and also a lot of women's teams suffer. So that's one of the things that's being taken out of the equation as well. So I don't like it. Terrible idea. What are your thoughts about Trevor Lawrence coming to Jacksonville, down there with you?
The Minshew mania was a fad. I never believed that he was going to be a long-term thing. And hopefully he can actually be the quarterback that Blake Bortles wasn't. Like they reached and to draft him, and he wasn't the guy. And honestly, I think if Trevor Lawrence and if your guy Urban Meyer can't get it right, the Jags are moving to London. No, for real.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Me either, but I think this is the last like straw for Shad Khan. I think if this doesn't work, he's going to just pack up shop and go overseas.
What do you think about Urban Meyer? You think it could work with Urban? Well, first of all, I'm tired of Urban lying and retiring and saying he done. So I'm mad about that.
I think this is the ultimate challenge for him, though. He's done everything that he could do on the college level. So I think this is the one thing that, the one last thing to put on his resume to say, that he's able to, and if he could do this in Jacksonville, because, Florida's football country. If he gets it right, these people, Jacksonville loves their football, so they will come if they win, but it's just they haven't been able to sustain winning. They had that one run to the, where they played the Patriots for the AFC Championship. But other than that, it's pretty much, paper bag status.
All right, Kenny, really quickly, how can the people get at you?
Coach _ Kenny, Coach _ ANYKENY, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm everywhere.
All right, Kenny. Thank you so much for doing the show. This is our time. You've been listening to Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. Thank you so much to special guest Kenny Moore, and we are out of here.